One thing that is a very common thing that goes on within society when it talks about men and men in general is gaslighting men about their insecurities. Something I always say is that the ego is a social survival instinct. Chances are the way you feel about stuff on some level, the jealousies you feel, the fears you have, the insecurities that you have, to a certain basis, they're based in something that can be factual or realistic. Now, if you delve and dive deeper into it, you can either find a different perspective to look at it from, or you could actually resolve the issue. Like, I'm gonna give an example, a real quick one. It was a situation I had. Let's say I'm pretty blessed, right? But there's always going to be somebody bigger. So you may have an issue where you feel that type of way. So let's say I was dealing with a woman and she dealt with a dude who had a huge dick with a curve to or something like that. I usually gave her A spot orgasms. That's deeper in the back of the pussy. But he gave her G spot orgasm, which I hadn't given her because I didn't focus on that. I got complacent in my sexuality when it came to the different ways that I gave women orgasms. Just, usually clitoral stimulation, A spot stimulation, and sometimes nipple play. You know what I mean? That's kind of more so what I would go for. But through her having that experience, and I predicted it weeks before it happened, but when she had that experience, that gave me a certain level of insecurity, gave me a certain level of jealousy, and made me feel some type of way because I'm like, well, this is your first time dealing with this individual, and we've been fucking for months. But what I did was this: I said, you know what? I'm going to figure and solve this issue. So instead of just getting insecure and leaving the situation, or instead of just turning that situation around in a way that hurt me, what I did was I told the woman that because something happened that I didn't feel the best about it, and she was getting, better sex overall from me, and she was also getting guidance from me. I was teaching her things. I'm like, you know what? This hurt my ego. I was honest. I communicated it. You have to show me through your actions and your words that you prefer me, and you got to spend some money. So she spent some money on a nigga, gave a nigga some words of aspiration, came, did what I wanted her to do. And then one time she came through, and I developed a brand new strategy about how to go about creating G-spot orgasms for a guy who doesn't have a particularly curved or particularly thick dick. I'm like, I'm on the thicker side, but there's different levels to that shit. There's different levels to it. So what I did was this right here, and this is a trick you can use right here. This is some really good information. This is a strategy I created myself. So you can call it the Brody technique. I don't know. I got my own techniques. Some people say I should teach a sex class, but I reached on her pelvics, right? I reached on her pelvic bone, or whatever that is, right above her coochie area. And I dug my fingers, not the nails, I dug my fingers behind that pelvic bone in front of where her, like above where her vagina is, and I pushed the front of her pussy down into my dick. And then I angled up my dick to hit her G spot, and I kept hitting that motherfucker until she was having some G spot orgasms. Then I gave her some more A spot orgasms, and I gave her some more clitoral orgasms, and we just had a very orgasmic evening. Now, these are things that can happen when you know how to handle your insecurities and your jealousies, and you can see jealousy as a perceived threat, but understand that perceived threat can become a real one. It doesn't necessarily mean it is, but it can become one. Because oftentimes, there's a dynamic that goes about when you're dominant with a woman. Something that can happen is this: if you're dominant, but that dominance doesn't carry over into her sexual fantasies and desires about you, then you will turn from a daddy to a father. Understand what I'm saying? If you're a man you check a woman, you give her guidance, you tell her things, you give her advice. Once she loses that sexual desire for you, or once she loses that fantasy, that allure, that mystique about your sexuality. Like I was in a group chat. My name in the group chat is Mystic Dick. That shit's funny. Or Mystique Dick. I don't know that. Mystique Dick. That shit is hilarious. But no, once you lose the mystique, then when you check her, when she's not acting, or when she does something off, or you're trying to reprimand that woman, instead of it getting her horny, instead of it getting her contrite, it'll start to just get her only contrite. And then she's going to want to pull away from you because it feels overbearing. It feels like it's too much pressure. It feels like it's too hard on her. You know what I mean? When a woman has a certain level of sexual desire for you, when you check her, it's gonna get her pussy wet, right? On the spot. She hears what you're saying, but just the fact that you have that aggressive tone with her is gonna get her turned on. So understand what I'm saying here. When you're approaching the topic of sexual insecurities or jealousies and these different things that come up, dig deeper to figure out what's going on. And the reason I'm talking about this, I'm gonna get into the topic of attention whores, right? This is when I'm gonna touch on the topic of attention whores. I watched this thing about security, right? Like people say, oh, a man should allow his woman to dress however she wants and not care about it. Well, one man may say she can do what she wants because she a grown woman. Another man will say, well, she can do whatever she wants, but if she does this, I'm not fucking with her. And I respect both of those, but I will also say this. Don't discount the fact that if a woman dresses in a way to draw sexual attention, she wants male attention, unless she's, gay, and then she wants female attention, and then, it has to be something that benefits you. How does it benefit you? If her doing something that makes you feel a certain level of insecurity or jealousy, if it doesn't benefit you, or if you don't see that there is risk involved, like if you have a woman who likes to go out and party, and I'm not really trying to date a party girl because I'm not really a party guy like that. But if you want to date a woman who wants to go out and party, or she likes to be seen, she likes to have her ass out and be all over social media, I'm not saying you should date that type of woman, but if you do, how does that benefit you, right? And how does it benefit her? You have to see what she's doing with her sexual energy. She has to see why she's doing those things, right? Like, if she's a very attractive woman and she has a business, it makes all the sense in the world for her to use part of her sexual attraction and her sexuality, not to extreme forms, but sex sells. She could be someone who does yoga videos, or she does workout videos and routines, or maybe she's an artist and she makes songs that are sexual, maybe songs about sex that y'all have with each other. Maybe she's a poet, maybe she's an artist and she draws her own body and does these different type of things. Sex sells. Sex sells. So it's not about her being an OnlyFans worker. It's just about, let's say she's the type of woman who is just very open and free in her sexuality, and she uses that to draw attention to things that she's doing that have actual substance. You have to get what I'm saying in this. So let's say a woman is in that particular position. Let's say she's in that position. Is she spending that money on you? Like, listen, if your woman has attention whore or whore behaviors or hoe tendencies, you need to have a pimp mentality. You need to have a pimp mentality. If she can't help herself from attention whore, and how is she benefiting you? Another way this can work is like this. Like, let's say you're dealing with a woman and maybe she wasn't as sexually open at first, but then she gets more sexually open as you deal with her. She may have been a naturally monogamous woman before you got more invested in her. But as she began to become more sexually awakened, then her awareness of her sexual desire all across the board for other men becomes more apparent to her. And in these type of situations, this is where being an attention whore can be a good thing. A lot of women that men deal with who are attention whores, they do that. You're never gonna get the pussy. Now, I have strategies to fuck attention whores. I can drop some videos on that. I don't recommend it because a lot of them are gonna be some no limit soldiers. I got a video I got to drop on that as well. But one thing about it is like this. If a woman has attention whore tendencies, then what she may be able to do is like a story I tell all the time. Like, let's say you're going out to a bar, you're going out to a club, and you go get your whiskey sour, you go sit in the corner, and your girl goes out on the dance floor in her little outfit, and she's dancing dancing on niggas, and she getting turned on, and then she leaves and sucks your dick and fucks you when you get home. You didn't have to do none of the work of seduction. You didn't have to do any of the work of turning her on. If her loyalty is strong enough to you, then, sexuality isn't something that can be turned on and off like a faucet. Unless her sexuality is just geared directly towards you, and then the thought of that with someone else just doesn't turn her on, or it doesn't feel worth the risk, that she can still sometimes indulge in that and then bring that energy back to you. Is she bringing that sexual energy back to you? If you have a woman who likes to get dressed up sexy and go out to the club, is she fucking you when she get home? And is she nastier than she usually is? Maybe getting that male attention makes her feel sexy, like on some Ayesha Curry type of shit. Like, let's say it makes her feel sexy. Maybe she had a kid, and after she had a kid, she was a little bit, wasn't sure about her body. And because she knows you love her for who she is, it's hard for her to accept that you feel the same way about her that you used to. Or maybe you came at her on some nice girl type of shit, so she's not really fully sure how sexually attracted to her you are. But these men out in public, they lust this woman. You got to lust your own woman. But these men, they lust her. These men who lust her, when they bring that energy to her, she can soak that up into her body, right? Soak that up into her ego, and then boost her ego to feel sexy and then bring that to you. You are not secure If your woman doesn't bring that sexual energy back to you, you are not secure. You're fucking stupid. Because what happens, and it's just like validation. It's validational loops, and I see it kind of like manna from heaven when we're talking about the Bible, right? If you hold on to it for too long, it's going to spoil. So for men, we're usually validated by sexual access and our own sexual prowess and sexual access and sexual attention we receive from women, while women are usually their egos are stroked by attention, validation, these different type of things. Sometimes it's resources. So when it comes to this type of topic, let's say your woman is in that position, right? Now, like something I'll say about myself, like one thing is, and with the different women that I've dealt with, I've never gotten to the point where I felt depleted from sleeping with multiple women, even if it was multiple women at, in a rotation at a single time. Because every so often, if I knew I was having too much sex for how much emotional investment, or not emotional investment, but too much sexual validation for how much validation I was giving out, then I would take a night and I would massage a woman. I would, play some music for her. I would cook for her. I would do these different things, give her words of affirmation, and do these different things that would make her feel special, to give back, to pour that energy back out. When that energy stays in too long, it begins to spoil. So this is one thing that I've done to keep me from feeling that type of way. I don't just take. Yes, I do things my way, but I do that shit because I want to do it too. Now, look at your woman the same way. I know you've seen women who became attention whores on social media, and they just soak up attention. You ever met a celibate woman who did that? They are not fun to be around. They are not nice women. Some celibate women are cool, but I'm talking about celibate women who pine for male attention. Like, they'll do it for a certain amount of time, then they might just stop because it's like, okay, I'm tired of this. They got enough. Their ego's full enough. Their self-esteem is full enough, and they don't feel like putting out sexually. So it's just either they shut it down or they start to kind of wears and erodes at their soul. This is something that happens until they get back to having sex again, and then they're cool. These are just some things to understand. So when it comes to this type of situation, if your woman is out there getting her ego stroked and she's not coming having sex with you, eventually she's going to go out and sleep with somebody else. But if she creates this muscle memory of when she gets turned on, you're the only person she goes to, regardless of who it is that turns her on, then you're good. Another thing is this. Let's say that woman uses her sexuality in order to make money. You need to have a pimp's mindset. If she's making money off her body, and that's your bitch, if that's your woman, that body, that pussy belongs to you. Yeah, people say it's her pussy. Nah, fuck that. If that's your bitch, that pussy belongs to you. If she is out there making money off of that, she needs to be spending that money on you, or putting that money right in your hand. She needs to bring the sexual energy back to you. That's if she's not, and when I say using the pussy to get money, I mean that can be OnlyFans, that can be being a stripper. I'm not saying date those women, but if you do, these are some things you need to understand. It could be just being an artist who makes sexual music, a model, a IG model. It doesn't matter. It could be a personality to where she receives a lot of male attention. Maybe she just is a social media influencer. If she's not bringing that sexual energy back to you, that shit is just sitting up in the cloud waiting for a nigga to snatch it down. I've been the nigga to snatch it down. I understand exactly how it goes. She needs to bring that energy back to you. So you need to understand insecurities, jealousy, and stop letting people gaslight you about what is secure and what's not secure. Don't let a woman gaslight you. Say, I'm just wearing this for me. I'm just doing it because I like it. Yes, you're doing it for you because the male attention that you have, it strokes your ego. What are you doing to stroke mine? How am I benefiting from this? If she's doing anything that puts your situation at risk, you need to benefit from it. Honestly. Like, these are just some things to think about. They just make sense to me. Just some things that just they make sense, and it just makes sense. You need to make sure that you're benefiting. If your woman has attention whore tendencies, you need to have a pimp mindset. How are you benefiting from the risks that she's taking with your union? Right? So this is just Brody's take on the truth behind male insecurities and how you need to have a pimp mindset. If your woman has whoring or attention whoring tendencies, she has 3 or 4 tendencies, you need to be benefiting from it. If you're not benefit from it, then that woman is playing you. Simple as that.